We've all seen those incredible images that AI can whip up out of thin air. But we've also seen its weird, kind of frustrating mistakes. So in this explainer, we're going to look at a new technology that teaches AI how to go back and fix those tiny but absolutely crucial errors.
I mean, it's a classic problem, right? You ask an AI to generate this beautiful, complex scene, and it does. But then you zoom in on the details, like the text on a sign or a product, and you get this, just complete gibberish. It's such a strange blind spot, and it can totally ruin an otherwise perfect image.
And this gets us to a really fundamental challenge in AI image generation. You could almost call it the uncanny valley of details, That place where the big picture looks totally right, but all the small things are just off.
Okay, take a look at this. On the left, we've got a product shot of a Powerpuff Girls toy that looks totally plausible. But zoom in, like you see on the right, and the text in that speech bubble just dissolves into these meaningless shapes. The AI understood toy box, but it had no idea what words on the toy box meant.
And this is not a one-off thing. Here's another example with a shoe. The overall shape, the color, the style, it's all there. But the logo, the actual branding, it's just a mush of distorted letters and numbers. If this were a real ad, it'd be completely unusable.
So the researchers behind this new tech actually have a name for this problem: local detail collapse. And it's a great term, isn't it? It perfectly describes that moment when the AI gets the big idea right, but all those fine-grained critical details just fall apart.
Okay, so what's the solution? Well, this is where the story gets really, really interesting. Let's introduce the technology that was designed to fix this exact problem. And this is the key question, right? If you just use a normal image editor, you're going to risk altering the background or the lighting or the texture. How do you perform what's basically digital microsurgery on one specific flaw while leaving the rest of the image completely untouched?
The answer is a brand new model called RefineAnything.
Now, the crucial thing to understand here is that this is not another general image generator. You should think of it more like a specialist, a digital detail artist. Its one and only job is to go in and perfect a specific area that a user points out.
But how in the world does it get that level of precision? Well, the method is surprisingly clever, and you can really think of it as a kind of digital magnifying glass trick. This quote from the research paper is the real light bulb moment. See, the problem isn't that the AI lacks the info to draw good text or a clean logo. The problem is that in a full-size image, it's trying to pay attention to everything at once, and the tiny details just get lost in the noise. The key is to force it to focus.
And they put this brilliant idea into action with what they call a focus and refine strategy. First, the user just locates the problem, draws a simple box around it. Then comes the magic step. The system crops just that tiny area and blows it up, forcing the AI to dedicate 100% of its power and attention to that one small piece. It refines the detail, and then it seamlessly pastes that perfected little patch right back into the original image. So simple, but incredibly effective.
So the theory sounds great, but does it actually work? Well, seeing is believing, so let's look at the results.
So here's our Powerpuff Girls box again. On the left, you've got the original mess, and on the right, the refined version, where the text now clearly reads Vinyl Face Plush Blind Box. But just as importantly, look at the rest of the image. The colors, the shadows, the background, they are completely untouched. Nothing else has changed.
And this really shows its versatility. Here's that shoe from before. The mangled logo is now a clean, sharp graphic. And again, the texture of the shoe's fabric, the lighting, it's all perfectly preserved. It fixed only what it was told to fix.
But it gets even better. RefineAnything isn't just a correction tool, it's a precision editing tool. So here, the original sign says Hundar. The user gave the instruction to change it to Hope Accept, and it just did it, perfectly matching the style, the perspective, and even the weathering of the other signs. I mean, that is an incredible level of control.
For those of you who love the numbers, the data completely backs this up. This table compares RefineAnything to other models. The detail error is cut in half, which is great, but look at this. Background change 0.0000. It achieves mathematically perfect background preservation. It literally does not change a single pixel it isn't supposed to. That's wild.
So this is way more than just a cool tech demo. Fixing these tiny glitches has massive real-world implications. It's about moving AI-generated content from being just a novelty to being a professional-grade tool. Just think about it for a second. For e-commerce, you absolutely need product images where the text and labels are readable. For advertising, your brand's logo has to be perfect every single time. For user interfaces or infographics, even one unreadable word can break the entire design. This tool makes AI a viable option for all of these really high-stakes applications.
And ultimately, that's the big takeaway here. For AI-generated visuals to be truly useful professionally, they can't just be plausible, they have to be perfect. And that perfection in the details, that's what builds the trust we need to actually rely on this technology. This breakthrough really opens up a whole new chapter. It's a huge leap forward in making AI a truly reliable creative partner. And it leaves us with one very exciting, open-ended question. Now that AI can sweat the small stuff and get the details right, what are we going to create?